The Social Security 2100. Did it pass or where did it go? That's a great question and exactly what I want to focus on for you right here in the video. So let's get right into it. First off, do you remember the Social Security 2100? This one has been around for a very long time. In fact, it was originally introduced a number of years ago by Representative John Larson. Then about a year or a year and a half ago, it was reintroduced as the Social Security 2100, a sacred trust yet again by Representative John Larson. But where do we currently stand on this thing? Did Congress finally pass it through, or is it still just sitting there collecting dust and still waiting for action out of Congress, just like so many other pieces of legislation that we've heard about to change Social Security, to reform the program, to raise benefits, to adjust the way that the COLA is calculated, and the list goes on and on. Again, great question. Let's talk through the details of this Social Security 2100, a sacred trust, the most recent version of this piece of legislation from John Larson, and what he recently talked about on the floor of the House of Representatives in regards to the Social Security 2100. So, first off, really fast before we do, if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe down below. As long as you're right down below the video, subscribing to the channel because you haven't done so yet. Make sure to hit the like button down below, as well as leave a comment, and of course, share this video with your friends, family, and social media so we can continue to help out as many people as we possibly can. Truly appreciate your support. Again, thank you so much for being here. I'm here for you every single day, no matter what. That's my promise and my dedication, and as always, I'm sticking to it. So please subscribe, like the video, and share the video, and let's get into it and talk about the Social Security 2100, what is going on with Congress and this piece of legislation, because this is actually a pretty good one. However, to be fair, in my honest opinion, this is not the best piece of legislation out there in regards to Social Security, simply because there's a lot of good things about this one, but there's actually better piece of legislation out there. So it's kind of like the grass is greener type analogy, right? You've always heard the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence, right? Well, that's not always true. However, when it comes down to this one, the Social Security 2100 is actually a pretty good piece of legislation. However, there are others out there like the Social Security Expansion Act that, actually has some other pretty good provisions in it. Now, none of these pieces of legislation are perfect in any sense at all. However, there are some that are actually a little bit better than others. However, I don't want to get too far off track here, but let's talk about the Social Security 2100 really quickly here. So as of right now, no, unfortunately, it has not passed through Congress yet. Now, again, this is one of those pieces of legislation that has been around for a very long time. We know there's about a dozen different provisions within this piece of legislation to reform Social Security, to increase solvency, to raise benefits, to increase benefits for millions of beneficiaries, the minimum guaranteed benefit as well as adjusting the way that the COLA is increased, and again, all kinds of different things like that. A lot of pretty good provisions in there. However, the one major downfall about the Social Security 2100 is a lot of these provisions within it actually sunset after 5 years. So basically what that means is that basically after a 5-year period of time, these different provisions start to expire. Well, is that what we're looking for? Are we looking for a long-term fix to Social Security, or are we looking for a 5-year, short-term fix and then things go back to normal? Well, not really, right? We're looking for something a little bit more long-term. However, at this point, I think we can all probably agree we'll take anything we can get at this point, we'll take it. Whether it's 5 years, 1 year, 3 years, 20 years, 75 years, anything like that, we'll take anything, right? So again, something would probably be better than nothing. But this one is still out there. And as of recently, so just recently here, John Larson, the architect of this piece of legislation, was yet again on the floor in the House of Representatives talking about this, trying to sell this to lawmakers. But it seems like it didn't really work yet again, which, by the way, there's well over 100 different lawmakers within Congress, as in the House of Representatives and the Senate, that are signing on to this piece of legislation. They are currently on board with this thing, but yet they still can't manage to get it through Congress. So it doesn't really get much past the steps of John Larson bringing it to the floor in the House, talking about it, selling the different provisions, talking about the importance of reforming Social Security, and of course, making sure this program remains solvent for many more years to come, and then of course that there's no reduction to benefits in about 10 years' time, as we all have talked about many, many times before in other videos, right? So as of right now, no, this one has not passed through yet. So I've talked about the details of this one before. I don't need to go down that road, and I don't need to, cover the details in great, extent here in this video, but this is one that's out there. It's a pretty good one. It's not perfect by any means at all, but there's a lot of good provisions about this one. Now, let me briefly talk about really fast here the Social Security 2100 compared to the Social Security Expansion Act. Now, this is another piece of legislation out there that at this time is still in Congress, but this one was actually introduced by Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and some other Democratic senators, where they want to increase benefits by $200 per month. So that is like the key provision within the Social Security Expansion Act, and it's not included in the Social Security 2100, okay? So that's the key differences there. Now, obviously, if we were to take different provisions out of both of these pieces of legislation, combine them together in a hybrid type of piece of legislation, then obviously we would be covering a lot more bases. But that's kind of the takeaway here. Which one would we really want here? Would we want the Social Security 2100 that has a lot of good provisions in there, about a dozen to reform Social Security and change the program and all kinds of things like that, but they sunset after 5 years? Or would we rather have a program that has a few different pieces of different provisions within it, like raising benefits by $200 a month and changing the way the COLA is calculated, which, by the way, both of them have that, increasing taxes on higher income individuals, and the list goes on, for the Social Security Expansion Act? Would we rather have that one, which, by the way, those provisions would last about 75 years, virtually out until the end of the century. So, kind of pick which one you want here, right? So can I kind of only have one. It's not like Congress is going to come through. If they pass anything pertaining to Social Security and reforming the program, they're certainly not going to come forward with both of these and pass both, right? So it's kind of like, which one would we really want here? Well, I think many of us here in the community probably say, we'll take the Expansion Act because that's the one that contains the $200 increase, right? Yeah, that's a pretty obvious one right there, right? Anyway, want to come back for you really quickly, talk about the details of this one. These are still out there. They're in the possession of Congress. So they're still talking about them every so often, but at this time, they have not passed them through Congress. Anyway, I'll continue watching them. You just never know. Seriously, you never know. At some point, Congress could, get a little excited and pull something out and say, hey, here we go. Let's vote on this sucker and let's get her passed through. So you just never know, right? We've seen it happen before here over the last few years. We've seen them come together on a piece of legislation. All of a sudden, we don't even know about it. We're not even sure that they're talking about it. And then out of nowhere, they pass it, right? We've seen it happen a few times before. So either way, I'll keep you posted, but there's a lot of talk out there right now. And like I said before in the videos, there's a lot of pieces of legislation, bills, packages, proposals to reform Social Security, to raise benefits, to adjust the program, to adjust the way that the COLA is calculated, to increase benefits, raise the full retirement age. Again, the list goes on and on here, but there's a lot of things out there, and they will be changing Social Security at some point, somehow, some way. We just don't know how yet. Anyway, I'll keep you posted. I'm here for you every single day, no matter what. Please subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet. Share the video with your friends, family, social media, and go back and check out any of the other thousands of videos here on the channel. Until next time, enjoy your day. Take care, and catch you again later in the